What happens when Harry Potter is reunited with Dumbledore? Find out on today's episode of the Freedom Club Podcast.
Welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast, where we discover the fight for freedom, fulfillment, passion, and purpose. Your host is Kurt Mercadante, Gallup certified strengths coach, an agency founder who is dedicated to coaching individuals seeking to level up their life and their businesses. The Freedom Club is about unlocking your talents, turning them into strengths, and crushing your objectives. You can learn more at kurtmercadante.com. Welcome to the Freedom Club.
And hello, everybody. This is the Freedom Club Podcast, and I am your host, Kurt Mercadante. I am so happy you're here because we got a fun one for you today. My guest today is Staffo Teen Point. I probably just totally butchered his name, but he and I met on Facebook, LinkedIn, some point last year, and I always loved his online nickname. It is the Buff Harry Potter. And if you look at his face, he actually kind of does look like Harry Potter. He wears those kind of round glasses. In today's interview, he tells you how he got that nickname. It's pretty funny. And as you may know, some people on LinkedIn have nicknamed me Dumbledore because of my big white beard. And so Staffo and I thought it would be fun to hop on a call and tape it for this podcast that you're going to listen to today. So we had some fun with it. Now, Staffo is a wonderful, world-renowned internet marketer, specializes in LinkedIn lead generation. He's got a growing Facebook group called the Marketing Family. So in today's episode, you're going to hear my discussion with Staffo, and we bill it as. And if you could actually see the video, which I'm going to post probably on LinkedIn or Facebook over the next week, he actually is dressed in the robe and had the little lightning scar on his forehead, just like Harry Potter. So without further ado, here is Dumbledore's interview with the buff Harry Potter. So I'm here with Staffo Teen Point, right? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Good enough. And so some people on LinkedIn nickname me Dumbledore because of my beard, right? And I'm wearing my Butterbeer shirt and my Hogwarts shirt. And you, who we somehow met, we can't figure out where, on Facebook before on LinkedIn. And I always saw that you called yourself, or other people named you, the buff Harry Potter.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to apologize for not coming in costume and just wearing my normal clothes.
Yeah.
So how I got the nickname was pretty funny. So I was at I was at a really big festival in Belgium. I forgot to.
Was it the Techno Dance Festival?
Tomorrowland. I was at Tomorrowland in Belgium. I was like dancing, and some Australian guy yelled at me, "Hey, you look like a buff Harry Potter, mate." I can't do an Australian accent. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, "You look like a buff Harry Potter." And then like looking at him like this. I'm like, "Ah, thank you, man. That's actually pretty nice. Like, first of all, you're calling me buff, and second of all, like Harry Potter is very rich. So it was thank you." And then I just started like saying it everywhere on the internet. Like every time I introduced myself, I'm like, "Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Staffo Teen Point, aka Buff Harry Potter, coming at you live." And like everybody keeps calling me Buff Harry Potter, so I'm just rolling with it. Like it really works, you know?
That's awesome. And by the way, for anyone who's just listening on the podcast, he's wearing the robe, the Hogwarts robe, and he has the lightning bolt scar on his forehead. So, and by the way, for anyone not listening, if you haven't watched Harry Potter or read the books, you have no idea what we're talking about, and you deserve to be in the dark, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So are you a big Harry Potter fan?
Well, actually, I read most of the books multiple times. A really long time ago, I saw all the movies. I'm actually like a pretty big nerd in general. Like I like Marvel, I like DC, I like Lord of the Rings, I like the Matrix stuff. I saw you also a big fan of like Batman and stuff. I really like the painting with the Batman.
Yeah. I got to hang that up in here. I got to make some room. And I prefer Marvel overall, but I love Batman.
Yeah. That's fair enough, you know. It's fair enough. Like Superman, as soon as he got like all powerful, basically there was no storytelling possible anymore because like cannot work with a perfect hero. It's just impossible.
Right, and like in the Justice League movie, he showed up and with one punch, like finished the whole fight. It's like how are you going to do Justice League 2? The entire movie could have been over. You didn't even need the Justice League. All you needed was Superman to show up.
Yeah, I didn't even watch it because the reviews were so bad.
Yeah, I have to watch all of them. I'm actually going to see Ant-Man and the Wasp this week with my daughter. We love those movies. So Harry Potter, my daughter has read all the books at least twice, and she's going through them again. I watched the so I read all 7 books last year. I watched the first movie and I didn't like it at all. So I've taken my time. I haven't watched any of the other movies, but I did take the Muggles tour in London
Or you did?
and loved it. And we're going to be back in London. And so my daughter and my wife are going to take it next month.
Yeah, I really like. I think Harry Potter is really worth it to study because it's just like perfect storytelling. Like all the archetypes are there. You have a very clear hero's journey in the microcycle. So within the book, you have a very clear crisis. Mentor shows up, obstacle, 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 big fight, and then he comes back with the lesson. And it happens in every book separately, and then it also happens in the whole series as a whole. And like, if you want to create, like I'm a marketer, so like if you want to create content and you don't want to like watch some boring course, just like study Harry Potter and see how the story is being told.
That's fascinating. It's interesting. My wife was I think she was actually in line to vote in the presidential election 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And the lines were around the block. Like people were lined up to vote, everything. And she brought a book to read while she was in line. So she actually brought, I can't remember which one she was reading, but it was one of the Harry Potter books. She was making her way through the books.
Yeah.
And some guy behind her started talking and telling her how Harry Potter books, it's the devil, it's wizardry and magic and this devil and whatever. And she's just sitting there. She's like, can I just read my book?
You just get the fuck out of here, you fucking muggle.
That's what I tell people. Well, you and I offline, we're talking about trolls, and I have people who will basically, they'll be like, oh, doesn't it bother you when trolls come in and say this and that? I had one guy, like I did a video and said, what's your biggest challenge? And he's like, my biggest challenge is seeing your ugly fucking beard every day. And someone's like, doesn't that bother you? I'm like, why would it bother me? Like it made me laugh, but other people, it's just like, fuck you. I don't like, and they're like, well, you got to show people empathy. I'm like, I have empathy for myself. Have empathy for yourself. There's respect too.
One time, like, I don't know if you use Reddit, but one time I was like doing some marketing on Reddit and I made some posts about something. I don't remember. Maybe it was just like some funny video I was trying to make. And some guy gave me this horrible comment, like saying, I was like, what was he saying? He said like, oh, you need to be more serious and or don't be so childish. So I went through like his whole history of everything he had ever said. And at some point he was like commenting on like My Little Pony and stuff. So I copied his comments and put it underneath the comment under my video. I was like, I need to be more adult. Come on, man, you're like commenting on My Little Pony and shit. And then he just like apologized to me in the DM. And every time somebody starts trolling me, like I go all the way through and I just find some super embarrassing stuff and I throw it out in the open for everyone. And I haven't had a troll in like the last three months because I just always just like, I don't know. I think it's so much fun to just like figure out like what if this guy's been or this girl been doing that's not okay, and I just throw it out in the open. And obviously, right, like I have the reach, so everybody gets to see it. So then they're always like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it this way. I'm feeling bad." No. I'm just like, get out of here. Come on, man.
There was a guy. Every once in a while I'll get, and other coaches get this too, where we'll get trolls who start criticizing us because we charge for our services, or we might have a call to action in our post. So one guy, I can't remember who he was. He seemed like a nice guy, but he was all down. I read your whole article and then I found the sales pitch at the end. I'm so disappointed, that you're selling it. And I went to his website and he was selling like an eco retreat in like Cyprus or something. And I went to his website, it was like 2,500 euros for a hut or something for 2 weeks, or 4,500 euros for. So I went and commented. I said, hey, I just went to your website. Given your comment, I'm shocked that you're charging for your services, not giving them away for free. And he just stopped commenting. Yeah. Because they're some of them are bullies. They're arrogant. And once you throw a punch back, they wither away,
Yeah, and I think it's like I've also had those people where like I'll tell people, look, I'm here to help. Like I'm ready to help anybody. and then they're very upset that I'm asking money. And I think a lot of the time it's people with very, very limiting beliefs about money, where they just think, first of all, rich people are always evil. Therefore, I didn't have any money when I grew up because of money. Therefore, money is evil. I think
Right.
there's a lot of those people on the internet, just like they believe all money is evil, and the more you have, the worse you are. But then at the same time, they're struggling with not having enough money, and one of the reasons I would say is because they have such negative thoughts about it that they basically scare the money away, because like nobody is gonna want to do business with people who hate money, because like you're exchanging money and services and value,
Right.
and all that kind of stuff.
Well, so speaking of your wizarding powers, you use your wizarding powers for all things marketing, LinkedIn, Instagram, you name it. So tell me a little bit about those powers, what you do for people, how you go about it, and where people can hire you.
Yeah. So could you give me a little bit of information about who is usually listening to this, so I can tell very specifically how I could help those type of people?
Yeah. So, well, the podcast, it's usually entrepreneurs, business owners. I have a feeling that most of my podcast listeners probably come through LinkedIn. So that's where most of my video views come through, my podcast listeners. So they're usually people who want to build something. They're trying to build something, whether that's internally at a company or their personal brand or a new company.
Yeah. So my overarching goal with starting my agency has been to find people that have something interesting to say and give them the visibility they deserve to spread their message. So I want to help people spread their message. So that's like the spiritual side of it. But then what I actually do is I generate leads, both inbound and outbound, specifically for LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, this means I can help people do for themselves what you have done so amazingly for yourself. So I help them have a nice profile that looks good. I help them create content that people actually want to pay attention to. I help them build their personal brands, so everybody that needs to know them actually knows them. And we have lots of tools and tricks that we use. There's sometimes if we have to use some automation. Most of the time it's just a lot of manual work, like figuring out who are the important people in your space, how can we build relationships with them, how can we build relationships with their audiences as well. And basically we help people find the people that might be interested in their content or interested in their services. On the other side, we also do a little bit of lead generation. So that means we make big lists of people that will be interested in a specific service. Let's say custom software development, SaaS companies, you name it. And we'll just reach out to the people that actually have the power to decide about it. And we'll reach out to them in like a very pleasant, funny way. So they're like, okay, yeah, this is a nice guy or a funny lady. So they'll feel very enticed to do business with you. So that's what we do basically. And then we do a little bit of the same both on Instagram. We do some Instagram marketing to help people grow very targeted followings. And then we also build messenger bots. So yeah, we do a lot of stuff. And I'm very excited about it because, like I haven't been doing this for so long, but results have been crazy. Like last week, we got a lady reach out to me and said, look, I had 0 clients before I met you. Now I got my first 2 clients. I basically have food on the table for the next 6 months. And, like these stories, like they come up every week. And I'm just like, like I'm so happy that with a little bit of knowledge I've been able to gather so far,
yeah,
we've actually been able to transform some people's lives. So that's why
amazing.
I do it. Like in actuality, that's why I do it.
That's great. So somebody just starting out on LinkedIn, or maybe they've been on LinkedIn but not active. Mm-hmm. What's the one piece of advice you would tell them if they're other than hiring you? What's the one piece of advice you would tell them?
Yeah. So the first thing I would do is to check out my friend Kurt's, because he has the best content in the game. The second thing I would tell them to do is to find more people like Kurt. So what you need to do is find the people that have a large network and that people are actually paying attention to already, and start building relationships with them. Like chat with them a little bit, comment on their posts, figure out what they're doing. And you want specifically the people that are talking to the same people that you're talking to. So let's say I was helping a coach, I would tell them, okay, find Kurt, become his friend, find Michael Chapman, become his friend, find Sarah Locke, who's also an amazing coach. Build relationships, because they're talking to the same people you are, but they might not always be fulfilling the same niche, so one person might be more personal development focused, other person might talk a little bit more about leadership. And by building these relationships, you can give them leads when people come to you for stuff that you don't really offer, and they will start doing the same for you. And once you've identified the people that are truly at the core of the network, it's very easy to start building on from there. So, okay, so who's in their comment section? Who's part of the conversation there? Join the conversation, and then just one by one start building these relationships. And before you know it, you got a bunch of followers. You have people who actually care about your content. You have people with a lot of attention that know who you are and have a good relationship with you, so they're not afraid to send some business your way as long as you reciprocate. That would be my first move, is because you need to get that critical mass, both from a personal branding standpoint and from a networking standpoint. And the critical mass starts really with the core influencers.
And if people want to find you to hire you, where's the best place to go?
So you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, Stuff with Team Funds. I'm sure there'll be a link somewhere. And I'm also very passionate about my Facebook group called The Marketing Family. I don't know why I did this. The Marketing Family, where I share awesome information. So basically everything I learn, I share in my Facebook group. And I invite a lot of really cool people to be on my show. And actually, this is like my first official invitation to Kurt to be on my weekly show, which I call The Marketing Family Picnic. And I would love to have you there.
Absolutely.
And my goal with the picnic is to make useful content. So again, like I said before, last week I did a picnic 2 weeks ago, I did a picnic with Casey Millhouse. Somebody came up in the comments and he said, I don't remember if it was a boy or a girl, but he said, because of what Casey said in the last picnic, I've started doing GIFs. I've gotten so famous with the GIFs that people recognize me in the streets. And that was just for something they picked up from our picnic. So, and I know 100% sure when you're going to be in the show, 6 months later, 2 months later, people are going to be saying the same thing about you.
That's awesome. I can't wait. Well, Steffo, I want to thank you for being on the show. And we'll talk to you soon. I'll put links to your site, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, the marketing group, or the Marketing Family Facebook group. And thanks for being on.
Man, thank you so much for having me. It's truly been an honor. Like, I'm a big fan of your content, both in what you actually have to say, but also in how you like visualize it and how you like find the little bit of the golden nuggets, and you really find a way to focus on those. So I'm a big fan, and that makes it like even more of an honor to be here on this show with you.
I appreciate it. And I look forward to joining you on the picnic.
Yes, 100%.